Hello and welcome to the first episode, or episode zero, pilot episode, whatever you want to call it, of the New Sports Kaidan podcast,
Yes.
brought to you by newschoolkaidan.com. My name is Yoshi, and the other voice you heard there is Tron. What is up, my friend?
Not much, man. Pretty excited for this podcast. We've talked about doing something like this for
A long time.
a long time, and it's actually happening. So
Yep.
pretty hyped, yeah.
Yeah. So we're in between some sports seasons. The football just ended,
hmm
and baseball's about to begin in about a month,
This
month and
is
a
the
week.
Sports Illustrated Bikini Swimsuit Edition season.
Is that
This is
what it is?
yeah. So so I'm not sure if you knew that's the reason why
They
Sports
do.
Illustrated do the swimsuit edition because there's nothing really going on
Yeah.
around this time. I mean, there's hockey, but I mean
No one gives a
it's
shit
hockey.
about hockey.
Except for
Oh.
that one guy. I know Vu likes hockey a lot, but like
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary about the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, and the reason why
That's
is because
that's the
there's no
reason.
football. It
There's
was
no
like around
baseball.
basketball All-Star season all time. I think actually there was a strike during that time too. So there was a lot of NBA
Uh
basketball,
and hockey
and
went
then
through a strike too at one point.
yeah, and then basketball and I mean baseball doesn't start for another month. So I usually consider this like Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition time because
That
that's when
makes
it comes out.
sense.
Yep.
That totally makes sense. I didn't know, but this
Yeah.
is always the slowest time of the year in terms of
It is.
sports news, but
Yep.
there's plenty of stuff going on, a lot of like off-field stuff which isn't really our focus for this show unless it has some sort of impact in terms of teams and team play and in the league
hmm
and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we're not going to get into the Peyton Manning's sexual assault or accused sexual assault, apparent sexual assault, or LaShawn McCoy or Johnny Manziel or Delman Young. We're not gonna get into that too much.
No. No.
We'll be talking more specifically in terms of teams and just leagues and broad perspectives. Probably mainly going to be like NBA, NFL, MLB, those
Yeah.
three. We're really not into hockey, right?
No. Well, I've gotten more into hockey because the Blackhawks have been winning.
Right. It
So like
helps.
I would totally admit that I'm a bandwagoner in terms of like rooting for hockey and like go Hawks go and all that kind of stuff, Blackhawks. But
Well, it's at least it's not like you or a transplant and you just started rooting because you moved there and you started noticing that your team was winning.
yeah.
You lived in the Chicago area all your life. You root
Yep.
for the Chicago team, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's purely a city thing because it's like, oh, the Blackhawks are from Chicago, go Chicago, it's my
Yeah.
hometown. So it's purely in that sense. Like I don't like people think like, oh, it's one big thing like in the city right now. Like, there's a lot of like since the Hawks have gotten better in the last like 5 or 6 years, that people are
Yeah.
just like, oh, you were never a Hawks fan like back in like the 2000s or early 90s. Like, where were you
Yeah.
when they were sucking? It's like, well, I'm like for me personally, like I'm perfectly okay with saying like I'm a bandwagoner. Like
Yeah.
I like to see the Hawks go and win, and they have like a dynasty starting up in the Blackhawks United Center and everything like that. So
That's a mentality I never understood. Is where were you when the team was sucking?
yeah,
You're such a bad fan. I don't understand that. Why would you be interested in a shitty team?
it's true.
That's just how sports franchises work. That's
Yeah.
why teams want to win
hmm
because it makes more people interested in
hmm
teams. That's the whole
hmm
point of this. But people are always going to be like those hipsters that are like, where were
hmm
you before it was cool to root for the Blackhawks?
hmm
But
hmm
yeah, I totally understand.
It's interesting because I'm sure that happened in like when in Miami, right? When
Yeah.
LeBron left,
Oh yeah.
and like everyone like I heard like no one started showing up, and like
Yep.
you can like that kind of stuff. So I kind of understand like if your team does well and they start sucking. And like those fans go away, it's like, oh come on, guys! Like, I mean, like at least stick around a little bit. Like, I kind of have sympathy for like those kind of fans that are like, hardcore fans. That they're with them from the highs and the lows. Like Cubs fans. Cubs fans are kind of like that, where like it's been over 100 years since we won a World Series. But they're pretty receptive for people who come in and start enjoying the team. About like once the team starts doing well, more Cubs fans are more vocal and vocal. But when the Cubs start sucking, they don't go away.
Yep.
Those fans tend to still be around, so it's pretty good. We usually always sell out Wrigley Field, so
Yeah, I mean that's a team with so much history. There's so much history in the stadium.
yeah,
So I definitely see the appeal of even rooting for them even while they sucked.
yeah,
A couple years back. It's
yeah,
because there's just so much history and great players came from there.
yeah. But all right. So a
So
little
you're
intro. I guess
yes,
I'll start with myself, I guess, if you want to do a
yeah.
little intro. So I guess right now we're going to be giving a little intro, like our sports history and our, our likes and dislikes. For me at least, born and raised in Chicago, I grew up like my favorite sports all time right now was basketball. It's not because of Michael Jordan, it's just that I used to play basketball a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was the only sport that my parents allowed me to play because football was a little bit too rough for them.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball was a little bit like they got scared of me getting hit in the head. I actually really enjoyed playing baseball like with my friends, but
Yeah.
never like in an organization like an actual team.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I would do pretty well though because I'm left-handed and
Yeah.
I love pitching,
Yeah.
and I feel like I could have gotten pretty far in that sense. But
Dude,
my
if you're left-handed, you're fucking golden in
Yeah,
baseball.
that's what people say, right? So but my parents were just scared that I would get hit in the head by the ball. Like I'll be pitching the ball, like some guy like rips it up front,
Yep. And
up
then
the
right
mound,
off your
gets smacked in
noggin.
the head. Yeah, exactly, and I'll just die right then and there. So
Yep.
parents allowed me to do that. So basketball was a sport that really like my parents were okay with, and my parents grew up. They came to the States around like the middle of the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
so they grew up during the Jordan era. So like
Right.
they enjoyed watching basketball and they have, and they kind of made me a basketball fan in that sense. So I was born a little bit too. So when Jordan started winning all those championships, I was too young to really remember it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like when I was in first or second grade when he won his last championship, like in
Mm-hmm.
96, 97. So I can't really say that I remember the Jordan era, but like, you know, I know everything about it. Most of the people who live in Chicago know about the Jordan legacy and the Bulls legacy and dynasty. But
I mean, I can
um,
imagine just walking around the streets of Chicago, just seeing all the Michael Jordan gear.
oh yeah,
Not just the jerseys, but shoes as well. Like, that's got to be crazy,
oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy around here. It's like people live and breathe Michael Jordan around here.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a pretty big thing in the city, um, definitely a big thing. And so yeah, my favorite sport is the basketball. My favorite team obviously is the Bulls, Chicago. Also enjoy NFL. Big Bears fan, Chicago as well. They sucked this season. Pretty frustrated with the Bears this season. I mean, we can talk about that for another episode, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, Bears fan, Cubs fan. So there's two teams in case you guys didn't know in Chicago. There's the White Sox and the Cubs.
Yeah. There's a whole
Um,
north-south rivalry
Yep.
there.
Yep. I'm a Cubs fan just because it's kind of funny. It's not because like, my parents were a Cubs fan or my friends were a Cubs fan. When I was little, my favorite color was blue.
Yeah.
So that's just how I became a Cubs fan because my favorite color was blue and um, I was attracted to like the Cubs logo. I thought it was the coolest thing,
Oh, the Cubs, the look is
Yeah.
perfect. The pinstripe, the logo, blue,
Yeah.
red, and white. It's perfect.
I
Everything
thought I think
around it.
like Cubs hats are pretty cool. Like I loved it when I was young. I really wanted a Cubs hat because I thought it was the coolest thing. I wasn't really a big fan of the White Sox hats.
Yeah.
Like I didn't black and white. I mean, my parents are pretty. But when I was younger, my parents were pretty traditional in the sense that like they associated White Sox hats to like gang members because like the South Side, and they know how
It's a
rough the
little
South Side
rougher.
is.
Yeah.
So they would never want to like don't buy a White Sox hat, man. I don't want you to be like be joining a gang or anything like that.
Right.
So
Right.
that was always a funny story that I tell my friends like, yeah, man, I can't be a White Sox fan. I'd be joining a gang, like apparently according to my parents. So became a Cubs fan because of it. So and then like I said, Blackhawks. I'm not a real big hockey fan, but obviously I support the Blackhawks in that sense. And yeah, I mean, I think if I had to make like a tiering list, I would go basketball, football, baseball, then hockey. The top four sports.
All
That would be
right.
my top four. So, but you, Yoshi, a little history about
Um.
you.
So
Because
I
you're
think.
interesting because you live in Florida, but you don't have like any Florida teams. But I know you weren't born in
Yeah.
Florida, but it's interesting. Like I want to kind of hear your story because I don't know
See,
your full history about like your favorite teams and like your background about sports.
I wasn't even born in California either. So
Right, right, right.
it's sort of
Should be
because
interesting.
we
Yeah.
were transplants because my family is originally from Japan.
Yeah.
I was born in Minnesota because that's where my dad had to
Really?
go to work for
You?
work.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
so Minneapolis born and was there for 2 years, I think, and then he got transferred again, but now to L.A.
Okay. Way better.
More specifically Torrance. So it's
Okay.
like the suburb of LA, I believe. I was fucking 5, so I don't really remember what the area was like, but I'm assuming
Sure.
it's a suburb of LA from what I understand.
Right.
So that's sort of like my roots as an LA fan. That's where it first started, I guess. I There's pictures of me, in LA wearing like a Dodgers hat and stuff. Not that I knew anything about Fernando Valenzuela or Tommy Lasorda, when I was born and shit. That's the last time they won a championship was '88. That's when I was 2 years old. Like
Sure,
I don't have any memory of that. I don't remember Oral Hershiser or Fernando Valenzuela or any of that. So
sure.
or Kirk Gibson. It just I don't have any recollection of that or like the championship run or whatever the history. It's just sort of like okay, I was there. My parents bought me a hat. I thought it was cool. Then I got relocated. Our family got relocated to Japan again, and then we came back to Florida where I've been for like the past 20 whatever years. The reason why I truly became a LA fan, but it was through the Dodgers, really.
Hmm.
So the Dodgers, they used to be in the Citrus League, or whatever you want to call it, the spring training facilities. They used to split it. I think they still split it into Florida and Arizona for spring training
No,
for
okay.
for all MLB teams, I believe. I don't know how it might have changed.
Well, I know that the Cubs do it in Arizona and the Sox do it in Florida, I think. So I
Right.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they still do it that way. But LA, I think they do it. I don't think they do it in Florida anymore. But they used to do Vero Beach, which is northern Florida, or it's up north.
Okay.
And my dad took me in '95 or '96. I think it was '96 because we came here in '95, November of '95. So it was spring of '96. He took us to Vero Beach for Dodgers spring training. Met Mike Piazza, Hideo Nomo, of course. He was
Oh
my
wow,
idol growing up.
that's
Hideo
cool.
Nomo, Mike Piazza, like I said, Raul Mondesi, all the Dodgers of like the mid '90s. I met him. I got autographs. I still have the T-shirt that I got autographed. It's a Nomo shirt that I got autographed. Got like a
Nice.
helmet autographed as well. Still have that. All the except after 20 years, fucking Sharpie. It's like starting to fade.
Oh,
So there's
right.
like almost no value to it, which kind of sucks. But
Yeah,
it's of sentimental value, so I still have it.
of course.
So yeah, that's where my fandom began, and I kept on following Nomo because he threw a no hitter and stuff like that. He was the dude because I don't know if you remember Nomo at
I rem-
Ultron
yeah. I remember he pitched a no-no at in Boston.
in Boston. I believe also with the
Yeah.
White Sox. He
Really?
he
Oh,
pitched.
I don't. I don't remember that.
I believe he had two no hitters. Let me
I
see.
remember. I remember the headline for when he pitched a no hitter for Boston. I wasn't sure if it would be the same thing for LA, but it was like a no for Nomo. I thought that was like pretty
Right.
catchy. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I like it. I like that. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I don't know him as I know him as the guy that pitched a no hitter for the Boston, but like I'm sure he means a lot more to you. I mean, for many reasons.
Yeah, it's just
For
he
your
he was my dude growing up,
yeah,
as a Dodger fan, and of course he was only effective for like maybe 2-3 years at most, and
yeah,
he kind of fell off because people knew that he's a two-pitch pitcher.
yeah,
He had a fastball that was okay, but it was really straight,
yeah.
so people could whack the shit out of it, and he got you with the forkball.
Right.
Now I think he has the greatest forkball of all time.
Interesting.
It's one of those pitches that you think it's a fastball, but it comes in at your hands, and when you're about to hit it, it fucking takes a nosedive, and that was his pitch. That was his out pitch, like through and through. That's all he threw pretty much to get strikeouts, and that's why he was so effective. But after a couple of years, people caught on. People realized that you can just hit his fastball. He has no curveball. It kind of sucks. So if you just lay off the forkball, you're fine. So he was only good for a couple years, but I really idolized him because I don't know if you remember how he threw.
No, no. I said I never followed him as much. So I know it was. No, I don't want to speak for it.
Unconventional,
It was very unconventional.
to
Yeah,
say the least. They called it the
yeah.
tornado style. He
Was that
would
a sidearm? Was
no,
it?
no, he would bring his arm. He would
Oh yeah, he pulled himself all the way back,
he
right?
pulls his arms all the
All the
way
way
back
back.
behind his head, and
Yes.
then rotates his whole body on his pivot leg, which is his right foot,
Yes.
and then he can literally peek at the home plate turned around from the other side of his head through his right eye. That's how
Uh-huh.
far he like torqued his body, and then
Uh-huh.
he threw. It was the craziest, one of the craziest like pitching forms you'll ever
So
see in your
is
life.
that common? Because I know that a lot of Japanese pitchers do the same, like do like a variation of that, like a very
They do, but not to that extent.
Okay. Because I wonder, because I never see, you don't see any American pitchers do that. So I wonder if that's something that like people kind of got from Nomo, or like it's just something that how they
It's
teach
it's
mechanics
sort
in
of what
Japan?
yeah, that's how they teach mechanics in Japan. What they do is they usually don't tell people to like torque that far, but
Uh-huh.
when you get up on if you're a right-handed pitcher, you get up on your right foot because that's your
Uh-huh.
pivot leg,
Yeah.
and you hold for like a split second. You hold your left foot up like longer than any pitcher you see in the U.S. or in the West.
Hmm.
It's super awkward. Like if you watch Iwakuma, he does that. He's pitching for the Mariners these days.
Hmm.
He's the same thing. He holds his leg up for
Yeah.
like a full second, while in the U.S. they teach you like pull back and then just release like real quick and then throw with your fucking legs because
Yeah.
that's how they teach you. Throw with your thighs, throw with your lower body. But seemingly in Japan, you kind of hold it and you cock your arm back and you kind of throw with your arm. From what I gather, that's what it looks
Yeah.
like to me,
'Cause
at
it's
least.
interesting because like there is a Cubs pitcher, I forget his name, but he's he's from Japan. Like he's in between the fifth starter and reliever, and he kind of pitches like that too a little bit if I remember correctly. Like where they just cock it back and like he pauses for like a couple seconds and then they just they throw it. So and like the things like and I don't see that anywhere else. Like I only see it with Japanese pitchers, and I
Yeah,
just wonder this mechanics and like I wonder if it's even before Nomo like they started teaching that, or was like
I
because of
think so.
Nomo.
No,
Okay.
I would think it's just because Nomo just took it to a whole nother
No.
level
Okay.
with the torque. Like
Hmm.
no one does that. No one goes that far.
Sure.
So,
It's
um,
interesting.
did you do you actually have a Japanese player on
Yeah,
your on the
pitcher.
Cubs?
Yeah, we had him. I'm not sure if he's still with the Cubs, but yeah, we had a Japanese pitcher, Wada. I think.
Oh, Wada, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think it's. I don't know. You
yeah.
would know. I don't remember.
Wada Tsuyoshi.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah,
I
because
don't know if he's with the Cubs anymore. I don't see him
because
listed on the
he was
roster.
he may be in Triple League right now because I know he was
Yeah,
bouncing up and down with the minor league.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So, but yeah, I remember him pitching. I think he has a similar form.
yeah, for sure. You see, it's very common in Japanese pitchers. Like even
But does
Darvish.
I know Darvish does? How about the Masahiro? Does he? I don't think Masahiro does that really. Does he?
I think they all do to a certain extent.
Okay. I can't remember
I'd
seeing.
have to look because like I think Darvish and Tanaka both have really good forms. They don't hold like the prototypical or stereotypical Japanese pitchers do.
Hmm.
That's why I think they're good power pitchers because
Sure.
they didn't do that. Japan's
Hmm.
all about like control and breaking balls, while
Yep.
here it's about setting up with a fastball for your breaking ball.
Yep.
While Japan's like chuck a whole bunch of breaking balls and hope they swing and get
Mm,
strikes. So
got you.
yeah, I'm not
Interesting.
sure. Maybe the mentality's changed over there, but they seem to focus on breaking balls more so than over here.
Hmm.
Here, you just if you're a lefty, you're good, and here if you have like a fastball that moves that isn't like a completely straight fastball that people aren't gonna like whack the shit out of, like you're
Yeah.
fine. So yeah, getting back into my fandom.
Yes.
So yeah, Nomo is what started it. He is the reason why I'm a LA Dodger fan, and I started rooting for other sports like the Lakers. I didn't really
Mm,
get into basketball until like maybe 5 6 years ago,
okay.
so I can't say that I was there for the Kobe Shaq era. I can't say I know much about the Showtime Lakers. I don't really wasn't really following them through the two championships in like '08 and 2010.
That's interesting. Then why the Lakers do? Because like I mean that's when people started becoming Lakers fans. You got into them after all of the like hype and not hype, but like when they
When
were
they
winning,
suck,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, which is really interesting why you picked them because there's so many other teams and like I'm not sure if you're looking to pick like a Los Angeles team. I mean, but like I mean, there's the Clippers, obviously. There's the Warriors. There's I mean the
Yeah, but it
Kings
just
in
it just makes
California.
sense, right? Because if you're like a Dodger fan and you start
Hmm.
rooting for the fucking I don't know the Phoenix Suns, that's sort of weird to me.
Yeah.
I know some people do that. Like I have a friend who's a Cowboys fan, a New Jersey Devils fan, and an Oakland Athletics fan. Like how does that even make sense?
Uh,
He just arbitrarily picked like names out of a hat.
that's interesting.
I never understood that.
'Cause I have a friend that it's like a Clippers fan. He's also a Cowboys fan.
That's so weird to me.
But yeah, like so why not the Clippers?
Because they were a laughing stock, and now the Lakers are a laughing stock.
Yeah, because I
So
think they started getting better.
around
Because Because I think that's like during the Baron Davis years when Baron Davis was like balling out for
Right.
the Clip. I think it was Baron Davis. I don't know. I remember
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Clippers did
Baron
decently
Davis. Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like who else am I thinking of? Was Baron Davis,
Yeah,
Elton Brand.
yeah, Elton Brand. Yeah.
Those two were pretty good, but they had nothing else around them, so they just kind of sucked.
Yeah, I remember.
And
I really liked the Clippers because of Elton Brand because he was drafted by the
oh,
Bulls
he's awesome. Yeah.
and then the Bulls traded him away for peanuts essentially in my
Uh,
opinion for
yeah.
Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry essentially.
Oh,
Like,
Tyson Chandler. Alright.
yeah. Well,
Eddie Curry.
he's really Eddie Curry's the one that you want to go.
Oh.
Tyson Chandler's really good. He's
But
actually
he's
really
not
good.
sexy though. You know what I mean? He's not
Yeah,
a superstar.
but Tyson Chandler was pretty garbage until he left the Bulls and he got decent. He got pretty respectable. But like Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler, that was supposed to be like the twin towers for the Bulls after the Jordan era. That was like I
Right.
think Jerry Krause, who's the ex GM, was like, well, Jordan's gone. Now it's time to go big, and traded away Elton Brand. We drafted because we got the first pick and the third pick. No,
hmm
either first pick, third pick, or second pick, fourth pick. I think it was around, something like that.
Who were the picks? Do you remember?
Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry.
Oh, okay. Those two were the picks.
So
Okay.
that's why we traded away Elton Brand for the Clippers pick and some other stuff. There's some others, there are other players around, but the biggest thing was Elton Brand to the Clippers for the Clippers like third overall pick, I think essentially
Uh huh.
how it comes down to, and then we had like. Or it was the fourth pick. We had the second or first pick, and we drafted Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry in the same year. And that was supposed to
Interesting.
be our version of Tim Duncan and David Robinson, essentially. That's what
Right.
people used to compare it to. That was supposed to be the Twin Towers for the Midwest, and
Yeah.
definitely did not work out.
No, it
No,
didn't. It was a
no.
disaster.
Yeah, they ruined us for years.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Okay, so the Dodgers, the Lakers, your
Dodgers,
football team,
Lakers.
your football team is the Chargers,
Okay,
right?
yeah, it's the Chargers.
Not
But
anymore though,
only yeah, because
right?
only by regional association, right? Because
Sure,
I'm gonna root for all things LA. If the LA Kings end up in the Stanley Cup Finals, I'll root for them. I'm not gonna watch it
sure.
because I'm not into hockey. I'm not gonna pretend to be into hockey because I just have not gotten into hockey. I've never tried really, so
hmm
I can't say that I've given a fair shake. But from what I've seen, I'm not super interested in it. I'd
hmm
rather root for like the LA Galaxy, in soccer. Soccer is way more interesting to me than hockey. That's
Sure.
just how I am.
I feel the same way too.
So yeah, so I also root for the LA Galaxy, so that's good.
There you go.
It's another thing, David Beckham and Landon
Donovan, right?
Donovan. Yeah,
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 Donovan. Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. Donovan Ricketts as well. Yeah, yeah, those guys. Yeah, those guys.
So why the Chargers and not the Raiders, for instance?
Well, when I got into football, which was around '04, yeah, I
Yeah.
was in high school. I was like junior or senior year in high school. And that's when LT was fucking busting
Oh
people's
man,
faces in.
there you go. That makes sense now.
So how do I was like, okay, I need an LA team. I already root for the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers, so I need an LA team. I wasn't a Laker fan at that point, but because I didn't really understand
But you
basketball.
like this football as a sport,
I
so
love football. I love
yeah,
watching football. But I never had a team because Dolphins sucked. Dolphins have never been good since Dan Marino left, and
yeah,
even with Dan Marino, they still sucked. So yeah, I never gotten into any of the Miami teams or South Florida teams, so
yeah,
that's that. But yeah, so I was like, okay, where are the teams in LA? Holy shit, there are no teams in LA. So what do? I picked the closest team, which was the San Diego Chargers. Then I said, holy shit, Drew Brees is awesome.
yeah,
LaDainian Tomlinson's awesome. Antonio
yeah,
Gates is awesome. Philip
yeah,
Rivers is awesome. Why the fuck not? So
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I went with them. But
Yeah,
at this point, I'm not sure if I can keep that loyalty because LA, if people haven't heard, they have a team now. It's the
yeah.
Rams.
The Rams now.
And there's so much history with the Rams. They've actually been there for 50 years before they moved to St. Louis.
Yep.
So there's history there. Guys like Pat Hayden, Vince Ferragamo, Eric Dickerson, those
Eric
guys.
Dickerson. Yep.
That guy was a beast. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I'm not sure what my fandom is in the NFL, but I think I'm gonna just root for the Rams these days. It's like,
You know, O'Shea handed the Rams.
yeah, I think I'm an LA bias. So I understand, Philip Rivers is still there with the Chargers, but the Chargers completely suck balls,
Yep.
and they don't have any players aside from Philip Rivers and Antonio Gates that I'm excited about.
Really?
So
You're not a Keenan Allen fan?
I mean, if he can stay on the field,
Sure.
that's the problem with him.
It
He's
was
great.
interesting because I remember I had a conversation with you. I asked you this question, like, so are you going to be are you a Rams fan now? And then I asked you, and I remember you saying that you were really hoping the Chargers were going to go to LA because that was like the
Yeah,
proposal that the Chargers were to go to the LA. But I forget. Got, I think they said they got blocked or something like that, or
I don't know. I
because
think that
I remember hearing it now that like the owner of the Chargers are really trying to get a new stadium in San Diego.
yeah,
But everyone in San Diego hates the owner because he burnt pretty much all his bridges in San Diego because he was all about going to LA.
right.
Like he was so focused
Oh,
on
it's
going
too
to
late now.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he realizes he can't go to LA. Now he's like, hey guys, go San Diego. I love you guys. Let's try to get a new stadium. And no one wants to deal with this guy.
Well,
So
what also
pretty much
happened
turmoil over
was
there.
what
Yeah,
also happened was that they had some sort of alliance with the Raiders to move to LA together,
yeah, that was the proposal. Yeah,
which made no sense because they're in the same division in the same conference. It sounded
yeah,
ridiculous to me. If you're gonna have two teams, in one city, make it like fucking New York Yankees, New York Mets, or New York Giants, New York Jets.
Jets. Yeah.
Like that's how it should be.
Yeah,
But
and people who say like the Clippers and like the Lakers do it, that's different though because just how you have a Western Conference and Eastern Conference,
yeah,
you can't do anything about it. It's just how each league breaks down their divisions differently.
it's also
And
because there's like
yeah,
80, 84, 85 games in the NBA season, right?
yeah,
Where in football it's 16 and you have to play them twice.
yeah,
That seems weird to me. If you're going through a long NBA season, I don't see a huge problem for some reason. I'm trying to like put into words why I don't have a problem with it, but
yeah. I don't have a problem with it because like I mean, this is divisions. Like you can't like you have the NFC East, you have the NFC South, you have NFC North. And then you have the AFC West. I mean, AFC East, AFC North, that kind of stuff, right?
yeah,
So you can't really like you know it's okay to have two people. It's okay to have two teams in one stadium as long as they're in different conferences because that's how the conferences are broken down in NBA or in the NFL. NBA, yeah, West and East. So if you
yeah,
have two teams, um, you know, you have two teams that are in the same city, then that's just how it is.
yeah.
You can't. It doesn't make sense to have two different stadiums, in my opinion.
It's also because I think the NFL only has 4 teams per division while the NBA
Yes.
has 5.
Yes.
So that dilutes it.
Yeah.
So I feel like the teams playing way more games and the fact that there are more teams in a division, I think it makes it okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was super weird. So that's why, I just wanted the Chargers to move, but they didn't. So that is what it
So
is.
are the are the Rams part of the? Okay, the Rams are already in NFC West, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to stay in the NFC West,
Yes.
essentially. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the Raiders go, they're going to be AFC West, right? Or are they AFC?
They're AFC West.
Okay, so that's when it's
The
okay.
Chargers and the Raiders are both in AFC West.
Yeah, so that would have made no sense in my opinion.
It's just weird
Yeah.
to me because you'd be in
Yeah.
the same division fighting for division first place in your division or whatever, being in the same stadium. That
Yeah.
made it weird for me, but
Yeah. That is weird. I never understand. I never like if I was a fan like that. Like I don't personally I have a friend that's a Giants fan,
hmm
and he hates that the Jets and them have share a stadium or used to
right.
share a stadium, right? Like it's like I want my own stadium for my own team, and I understand that. So like I can kind of like sympathize with those people that like have to share a stadium, like the Clippers and the Lakers have to share a stadium, and I can sympathize that you would like to have your own team, to have your own stadium, but
But that's
it
different
is
for
what
the
it
NFL.
is.
Your friend's being very spoiled about this because
Yeah,
they have 8 home games
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
while the NBA has 40 something home games. Like
yeah.
that's sort of
He is
apples
being
and
spoiled.
oranges. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
apples and oranges. Like
yeah,
if you have an NFL team that has their own stadium and that's the only thing they host sports wise, that's pretty fucking crazy.
yeah,
Like the Cowboys and Jerry World, that's the only like major sports, team that plays there. That's
yeah,
fucking nuts. That's only 8 games a year, but they have this
yeah.
state of the art facility.
It's true.
It's crazy. They have no right to complain. Your friend has no right to complain.
Yeah, he's just he's just a New Yorker. He likes to
Yeah.
complain. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I would say baseball's number one. So Dodgers, then NFL,
Okay.
then the NBA for me, and then I'll probably put soccer number 4.
Mm. Oh, if we're doing that, then soccer's 4 for me then, and then
Yeah.
NHL's 5.
You have the Chicago Fire, right?
Fire,
Yeah.
yes. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even name one person off of the Fire though. So.
Dude, trust me, I can't name anyone off of the LA Galaxy after Donovan and Beckham left. So
Yeah. So, but I do. The thing about soccer is that like I'm a filthy casual when it comes to soccer.
yeah, me too.
Like I only like it when it's like when the FIFA Cup comes and
Yeah,
watching the countries play each other.
World Cup and then not so much Olympics because it's always like an under 23 team, so it's not super
Yeah.
exciting.
Like we have tons of friends like Boy and 10K, and
No, yeah,
other.
huge,
They
huge
love
soccer
like
fans.
football over there. The Premier League and like I don't know what other leagues are in Europe. They love that stuff.
German league, Bundesliga, and then fucking
The Premier Cup and
La
this
Liga.
La Liga. Yeah,
Yeah,
they love the Premier League over there in the European side. So
yeah.
which is cool. Like
I would love
soccer.
to. I would love to have like my favorite team in like La Liga or EPL, but I
Yeah.
just don't know shit about the European situation, and I also can't watch it because I'm at work when
Yeah.
those games are on.
Well, it's really interesting now. I don't know if you know about this, but like, I think it's NBC or one of the major sports networks plays soccer in Saturday mornings, like Sunday mornings. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Saturday
I've seen
morning
it on
cartoon.
ESPN from time to time. Yeah,
Yeah, so like, it's really funny because like the kids nowadays who are growing up, like the younger kids are growing up with soccer now
yeah,
because it's being streamed Saturday morning or Sunday morning because that's the time like the time difference from Saturday morning here to the afternoon over there in Europe is just how it works. So they're growing up as soccer fans. More and more like American fans, American kids here are growing up as European soccer fans, which is interesting. Like they're
yeah.
growing up on it because they just watch it in the morning eating their cereal.
That's cool.
So it's really
Oh,
interesting how much more it's like that now.
you know what's neat? A kid I went to middle school with. He's actually on the U.S. national team.
On soccer?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
it's pretty cool.
I can't really say. I think the only claim to fame I can say is that I worked for someone back in Circuit City,
Hmm.
and he was working part time, but he was a minor league pitcher for the Rays. I think like
Oh, cool.
Class A. Like I think he just got signed.
Right.
Yeah, he just got signed. I think he just graduated. He was a senior in high school, and then the Rays signed him out of high school,
Yeah, and he left.
and he left. And
Yeah,
I'm not sure what he's doing now, but I remember he had a nasty fastball.
yeah.
So
Do you
it's
know? Do
pretty
you remember
crazy.
his name?
No, dude, I know his face, but I can't
Yeah,
remember his name.
yeah. Maybe he's like super awesome now.
Oh yeah. All things like if he was, I would know his. Well, he would have been bouncing around the minor leagues. He could be on any team now. That's how. My,
Maybe he's like a relief pitcher that doesn't really get recognition.
yeah.
But you know how valuable those pitchers are these days, the specialists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, I think it's. I mean, I think we're pretty
Yeah,
educated like people about our sports history and
our
our favorite
fandom.
teams, their fandom, and everything like that. And I think we both like esports. I mean, we can consider that a sports
Yeah,
that we both can get behind.
maybe we should
So
talk about it next time. I don't
next time
know.
we talk about our esports, yeah, why not? Yeah, we
Esports
can
history.
esports history. Oh, that'd
Since
be interesting.
ESPN is covering it, so it's sports now.
Yeah, we
So
esports now, right?
we are definitely esports now. But
That's what that
before
means.
before we get into esports, let's we got some topics here, so let's hit that up.
For sure.
Want
Let's go.
to talk about the NBA? The NBA
Ooh.
All Star Weekend was last weekend.
Yes.
That was Kobe's last one, so that's pretty significant in my fandom.
hmm
Had 10 points in about 20 minutes or something.
Westbrook got MVP. I think. I think it's the first time ever that a back-to-back MVP, All-Star MVP, for
Oh, really?
Westbrook. Yeah, I think that's. I
Interesting.
think there's never been a back-to-back All-Star MVP before, to my
Cool.
knowledge. I think that's
Well,
I read a stack about that.
Westbrook is a beast. I look forward to having him on my team in 2 years.
Oh, you think so? That'd be interesting.
Dude,
Durant goes to the Warriors, and Westbrook goes to the Lakers.
no, 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 dude. There's this crazy plan where they're trying to get rid of D'Angelo Russell to open up, space, and then they're gonna get rid of Hibbert and Brandon Bass and people like that, and Nick Young, Lou Williams, and then they're gonna load up, save money, and wait for the cap increase for next year,
Sure.
and then sign Kevin Durant, and then sign Westbrook the year after. Just
You think that
imagine.
would happen? You think those players would want to play with each other again under a different team?
I think so. I think those two,
I think they get along, but I wonder if they'd want to like
they want their own team.
be like yeah, like I want my own team.
I just can't see the Thunder like not letting Kevin Durant walk. I think that's just impossible.
But what are you gonna do? If everyone has the same amount of money, maybe it comes out like, are you trading him does he want to play for you? Like he has once he becomes an unrestricted free agent, like you can't
Right, 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 right.
you can't franchise him. You can't. It's not the NFL. You can just franchise tag him. So it's more like does Kevin Durant feel that he's gonna be able to win a championship with the Thunder?
Maybe he's
Like I
loyal.
said,
He seems like a cool dude. He seems like a humble, cool dude
yeah,
that's
man.
that likes Oklahoma City. So I
Yeah,
feel
man.
like
I'm
he
a
would like,
humongous Kevin Durant fan. I'm like
yeah,
one of the biggest Kevin Durant because I mean, because he went to Texas, which is my favorite university,
right,
like college football team and basketball team, University of Texas. So he was
yeah.
he was a Longhorn. So I love this. I loved him when he was with Texas. So it's like humongous Kevin Durant fan. So I would love him to come to Chicago. I mean, I want to be selfish and bring him to Chicago, but that's the one thing about the Bulls. Like, I think people tend to not want to come to the Bulls, like
Yeah.
free agents. They get too afraid or intimidated by Michael Jordan legacy. I mean,
I
that's the one.
I think we're far removed enough to where it's okay. Like Jimmy Butler is that dude. Like he just
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
give a shit about legacy and stuff like that. I like
yeah.
that about him. He just
Yeah, I
does
love
not
Jimmy
give a
Butler.
shit.
Yeah,
Like Derrick Rose seems sensitive to that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Because he just seems sensitive after all that bullshit that he had to go through. Because I feel bad for him because he was about to. I mean, he was a league MVP,
yep,
and he was about to become like the number one point guard in the league. He was going to surpass Chris Paul. He was going to surpass Darren Williams at the time. He was going to surpass guys like that.
yeah.
But
Westbrook. It was all those plus Westbrook. Those are like top five, top four
but
consideration.
then
Like, he was
Westbrook
number
came
one.
along. He became this monster, and then Stephen Curry came along. He became a monster.
Yep,
John Wall's there. Stuff like
yep,
that. So.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, but he seems to be playing well recently though.
Yeah, he's getting better. Are we talking about the Bull? Are we talking about the Bulls now? Or what was
Yeah,
your
sure.
okay? So what's your point for that NBA All Star
Yeah,
weekend? We get
because yeah, I mean I don't have too much to say about the All Star game except for the dunk contest because that was a fucking dunk
Oh,
contest.
Aaron Gordon got robbed,
Yeah, that
dude.
was that
I
was
thought
all
Aaron
Aaron
Gordon
Gordon.
should have won.
How is a dude who's like 6'10" jumping over a full height mascot?
Yeah, dude.
He jumped
It was
over
clean.
him.
Yeah, it was clean. Like, it was way more. Everyone was going crazy about. Oh my God, Blake Griffin jumped over a car. It's like that's like nothing. He jumped over like the front end of the hood. I mean, that's not. You remember that, right? Like a few years ago
I
when
remember he jumped over a Kia
everyone was hyping
probably.
it up. He jumped over a Kia, but it was the front end of the hood, and it was like that wasn't that impressive, dude. But this one, way better. Probably one of the best like dunks I've seen in a long time.
And then
Like
he also palmed the ball and put it through his legs midair over the mascot.
yeah,
How is that even
I
possible?
don't know. I don't know how he didn't win. Like I mean, what's his name? Levine, Kevin, or
Zach
Zach
Levine.
Levine? Yeah,
He's
he
good
was pretty
too.
good too.
He's good too. He's good.
He was good too, but I think that yeah, I think he
That
got
was all Gordon. Yeah.
Aaron Gordon got robbed that time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was one of the best dunk contests I've seen like a good like 5 6 years.
I haven't watched recently. The last one I saw was the one with Dwight and Blake,
Okay.
where Dwight was wearing the Superman cape and
Mm.
Shaq was like hanging out in the back and he was doing the dancing with the Jabberwockies.
All
That
right,
has to
yeah.
be like fucking 5 years ago,
That's
six
back when
years ago.
yeah, dude, that's a long time. Shaq was playing for the Phoenix Suns when that
Yeah,
happened.
I think so. Yeah, he was like dancing and shit, and like Dwight
Yeah,
came out with the Superman cape, and then Blake jumped over the Kia.
yeah,
That's the last time I vividly remember watching the dunk contest. But watching this one, I was like just blown away by because everyone else sucked. Like
yeah.
fucking Andre Drummond sucked. Whoever else was in it sucked.
Andre Drummond and there was one more guy. I think I can't remember who it
Yeah, I
was.
forgot who it was, but they both sucked. It was
Yeah.
a 2-man show. Zach Levine was awesome, but Aaron Gordon was just on another level.
Yep. Pretty
So
much.
so yeah, I wanted to bring up Rose because he dropped 24 points, 7 ribbies, if you will. So like RBIs, 6 assists last night on the Lakers, and he went 8 4 15 on the field. So that's a really good shooting night for him.
So the thing is, like, I don't actually, I mean, because like in living in Chicago, like we put Derrick Rose under a microscope more so
Oh
than
yeah,
than any other
he was
one.
the next Jordan.
Yeah, he was the next Jordan. And the thing about Derrick Rose that frustrates people living in Chicago is that like we know that he's not the same player.
Right.
Like if you remember Derrick Rose before the whole like ACL tears and MCL tears or whatever, he was like a very like that's what people like thought like him and Westbrook were like the next new age of basketball point guards
Yeah.
because they're attack first. slasher means go to the rim. No no regard for human life kind of players
Yeah.
as in the point guard position. But he's not like that as much anymore.
Yeah.
He's one of
Is he
those guys.
timid?
He's not timid, but like he's trying to be an overall player, which he's not. He's never going to be a good shooter.
Right.
So if you look up his stats for like a 3-point shooting, I think he does like I think he's averaging like 26% for the
This
season,
year, yeah.
which is terrible.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. And the thing is that's also messing him up is that he had like a eye injury like during
Yeah. He had a
preseason.
detached retina, I think,
Something
right?
like that. Some crazy thing where he had to like, sit out for a few weeks. And the thing is he has double vision. So the problem is that he had to wear when he was playing, he saw the rim twice.
Yeah.
He had to play with one eye essentially is what
That's
he said.
horrible.
And the thing is like the reason why it's frustrating is that you should know that like if you can't see the rim correctly, how are you supposed to shoot? How do you know your depth perception?
Yeah.
So that's the frustrating thing is that like hopefully his eye is getting better, his depth perception is getting
It
better, where he's
probably
able to shoot
is.
properly.
Yeah.
But the frustrating thing was that he would always be settling for 3-point shots.
Well, at least he's not taking as many as last year because last year he played almost the equal amount of games that he has this season. He played 51 games last year.
Yep,
He averaged 5.3 attempts from the three.
which is
That's
a lot.
way too much. That's a
Yeah.
career high. And he only made 1.5 out of 5.3.
Yeah. The thing is like everyone was hyping him up like, oh, the year off, he's gonna get his stroke better, he's gonna be a
Yeah.
better basketball player,
Nope.
shooter. It's like no, obviously not. He has a really awkward like he leans into his shot a lot. Like if you ever
Weird.
see him like shoot, like it's terrible. His mechanics are terrible.
Yeah.
Like in terms of shooting. So like it's like the like, if I mean yesterday's game was great. I saw the highlights of it, but the thing
Yeah.
is like I mean sure it's great. I mean if we play the Lakers, for the next 29 games or whatever, like yeah
He would
sure
look great.
we look great, but we're not always gonna play the Lakers. Every
He's playing against a
yeah
fucking rookie, you know. What do you
yeah.
expect?
So so the thing about the Bulls though is that frustrating is that my little mini rant is that the trade deadline passed right.
Yep.
So and the thing that people were expecting was Paul Gasol was gonna get traded.
Right.
Because people, it's a little bit our perception and like our opinion about like how the Bulls are going to do this season in Chicago is that it's not very optimistic. We kind of have a feeling that we're not going to do that well. We can't play defense. Derrick Rose is consistently inconsistent. Jimmy Butler's injured right now.
Yep.
We don't have Noah. I think we lost Noah for the season.
Yep.
So we kind of, what people were expecting, our front office to do was to trade Paul Gasol because he's our best trade asset.
Right.
Yeah, he's probably gonna opt out next season. He's only making 7 mil a year. He can help a team that's contending go to the next level. He wakes up, eats his Wheaties, and gets a double double every night.
Yep.
Essentially,
He's a
he's a
double
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 double.
machine.
He's a double double machine. Not that great on defense, but if you're on the right team, you can mask that.
Yeah.
So we thought that we're gonna trade Paul Gasol, get some assets, and kind of reassess ourselves. Maybe get lucky and get the first overall pick in the lottery like we did with Derrick Rose, and hopefully do well and try to rebuild and build around Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, but your record's too good to be in the lottery area, I think.
No, we're in the seventh seed. We're only like 2 games above 500.
I think you're eighth seed.
A seed now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, three
And
games
the,
above 500.
yeah, and the Eastern Conference is pretty competitive. I mean, it used to be not so much, but the Eastern Conference is pretty competitive nowadays.
You could be 500 and get in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is like maybe not somewhat not tank, but just kind of like see what works and see like who we can keep around and like the Bulls are like in the middle of a situation which is really frustrating where like they're good, but they're not going to win a championship. But they're not bad. They're going to win games.
But would you be open to tanking though?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be open to tanking because our window has closed, and you can't build a team without assets.
Yeah. You want to
Like
build it up around Butler now.
we want to build around Butler, but we don't have any assets to build around. We
Right.
we don't have that. We don't have a stockpile of picks.
Trade Rose.
No one want, we would.
It's an
The thing is,
untradeable contract,
it's an
right?
untradeable contract. No one wants 20 or whatever amount of money. We would trade him. We would
Yeah.
trade Rose, and Jimmy Butler's the future. We have this rookie called Bobby Portis. He's a
Yeah.
beast. He's like the next Kevin Durant.
Damn.
I feel like he's the next Kevin Durant. He's a beast. He can shoot. He's really good at defense. He's a pretty decent post up game right
Mhm.
now. But Bobby Portis and Jimmy Butler are our future for the Bulls. And what we were hoping for is trade Paul Gasol, get some assets, get like hopefully a first round pick, and then just work towards next year. But nothing happened. Um, We kept Paul Gasol, and there's rumors that like Paul, when they re-sign Paul Gasol, which I don't agree whatsoever. Like Paul Gasol is good. He's 36 though. He's gonna
He's
want more money,
he's pretty good.
but like he's gonna want more money. He's pretty good, but he's not. We can't build around a 36-year-old, for the future.
But I mean, if he's willing to take some sort of not a pay cut, but pay him like an equal amount and sign him for like 2 years, that'd be okay, right?
Yeah, but the thing is
The
like,
cap is going up next year,
so the thing is
so
like, if you know he's gonna opt out, why not
oh
trade him
no,
and then
yeah,
try and then he opts out and then try to re-sign him in the off season
right.
if he's cool with that, if
Hmm.
he's willing to come back. So
Probably not.
for the thing is like, from what I hear, I mean, this is sports talk radio, and like this is kind of like really in the Chicago scene. Like he loves Chicago. He's a big opera guy.
Yeah,
He loves to go to the opera, and like Chicago's a perfect place for him. And like,
typical Gasol.
yeah,
Him being smart and intelligent.
savvy, intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah,
So he has no, and what people are saying is that he doesn't really care about, um, finding that next championship as much as just being competitive and enjoying his environment as much. So
right. I mean, he's
he's won
won
two
already.
champions.
Yeah,
He's won
he's won.
twice.
Yeah,
He's won twice with Kobe at the
yeah.
Lakers. So I mean, the possibility of if you traded him, he opted out, resetting him. That was it was there. It could have happened. So that's the frustrating thing is that we had there was a lot of rumors about these different kind of trade proposals. There was actually a trade proposal that the Sixers and the Bulls had potentially that would bring Jahlil Okafor
Mm-hmm.
to the Bulls. Essentially, it'd be Jahlil Okafor for Paul Gasol and some other stuff. I think we needed a third team, which I don't see the Sixers doing that. I think that's a stupid trade, but it could
Yeah.
have happened. The biggest one was the Sacramento Kings. Might have gotten Ben Lattimore, some other players, and a first round protected pick, which is what I would want, that first round pick,
Mm-hmm.
because and then also you're helping the Kings get better.
Right.
I'm not sure if you know this, but we have a conditional first round pick with the Kings where if the Kings do better than if the Kings place top 10 or better, we get their pick.
Interesting.
But if they lose if they get into the lottery, that pick becomes a second round pick.
Right.
So we
So
were
it's essentially protected, right?
yeah, it's a protected pick.
Yeah.
Everyone in Chicago is like hoping the Kings, turn it around and get better because we want to make sure that we get that pick. So we're actually helping the Kings get better. If we would have traded Paul Gasol, would have gotten the first round pick and all that kind of stuff. So
What is the cutoff for the lottery? Because I feel like
well, I think any team that doesn't make the playoffs is in the lottery.
in lottery, but the higher chances is just depending on your record, right?
Yeah, you
You
get a
get more
higher
ping pong
you get
balls.
more ping pong balls. Yeah,
Right. Okay. So I mean, they're definitely not making the playoffs. So
the Kings. Well, no, they could. They're in the ninth spot, ninth or tenth, I think. They could make a run.
I don't know.
Like, let me. If I see their record, I had it
They're
up somewhere.
23 and 31. The eighth seed is Houston at 500, essentially.
Yeah, 23 and 31, but it's Houston, and Houston is like on the brink of exploding.
I think they already exploded. I think they're just leaking now.
Yeah, so I mean, they could make a run. The Kings
Yeah.
could make a run.
Could,
I
yeah.
mean, so that's the thing.
But
I
it's George Karl
yeah.
and DeMarcus Cousins.
Cousins is a beast, man.
He's a beast, but I think the whole thing with George Karl. There's probably fire there. I think we've seen enough smoke to know that they're
Oh
not
yeah, I know they don't.
too cool with each other.
I didn't realize. I just found out like maybe like 2 or 3 months ago that Vlade Divac is the GM,
Oh God,
which I
that
didn't
guy's a
know.
disaster too. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Speaking of a disaster hire, Vlade Divac.
Yeah, he's your GM for the Sacramento Kings, which I didn't realize, and it's so funny because like how everything comes full circle. Because if you remember the Lakers and the Kings rivalry back in the early 2000s,
Yeah,
Vlade Divac and Shaq are like beefing each other. They don't like each other. They're both
Mhm.
rivals. But now Shaq is a minority owner of the Sacramento Kings, and
yeah,
Vlade Divac now works for Shaq essentially a little
yeah.
bit because he's the GM for the Kings. So funny how that all comes together. So. Yeah, I mean for the Bulls though, it's just really frustrating. We were hoping for a trade. We feel people in Chicago feel that the Bulls aren't gonna. If you're not winning the championship, then you're just like you know you're like the saying around here is that either you're fully pregnant or you're not pregnant. The Bulls are half pregnant. You don't want to be half pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where the
Sure.
Bulls are right now. The Bulls, yeah, you win the first round, you make it to the playoffs, you win the first round, but then you're gonna get beaten 5 or 6 in the second round.
Right.
You know, and you have nothing that really shows progress moving forward. It just shows that right now your current team is a second round and out kind of team. There's no upside to your team, which is what
Right.
no we don't see in the Bulls. Like Derrick Rose is gonna be gone probably in a year or two. I don't think we're gonna re-sign him unless he takes on significant less money. We need to build assets. We need to build like people that are gonna be built around Jimmy Butler and Bobby Portis. And without trading Paul Gasol, that was your only asset to be able to get some assets back,
But is
for the
is
future.
Powell signed for another year or?
He is, but he can opt out next season if
Oh,
people
okay.
are gonna
So
say he can opt out.
he could just opt out at the
Yeah,
end this year, right?
yeah. He was signed for 3 years, but he can opt out after two.
What about Taj Gibson? I hear really good things about Taj
Taj
Gibson.
Gibson, he was high. In terms of like trade and like back a few years ago he was pretty good, but the thing is like people just started noticing that he doesn't really have upside. He hit his ceiling
Oh
essentially.
yeah, he has. But like
So
he
that
seems like a contributor though.
he's a contributor. He's a great six man off the bench.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure that people were asking with Taj Gibson and seeing what would be offered, but probably the Bulls thought that what people were offering wasn't worth giving up Taj
Right. It's probably
essentially.
like a like a second round pick like 10 years
Second
down the
round
road.
pick and maybe even a worser contributor.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the frustrating thing with the Bulls. I was really hoping for the Bulls to trade Paul Gasol, even though I like him. I think that you have to look long term and right now with the Bulls like offensive like philosophy and system around under Hoiberg,
Yeah.
like Paul Gasol does not fit that system.
Right.
Like Hoiberg wants to go up tempo, push, 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 push. Kind of like what the Warriors do essentially.
Right.
Like up tempo, try to get as many shots as possible, and be able to do that. So we're just right now the Bulls just it's just frustrating.
Oh, dude, I forgot. You guys have Doug McBuckets, dude.
Yeah.
He could be like a maybe he'll be like a 3-point specialist at some point, like a Kyle Korver or
That's what people hope for.
yeah.
People are hoping for him to be the next Kyle Korver, but the thing is, like, he sucks at defense.
Yeah. Well, that I mean, I don't think Kyle Korver is that good at defense
Well,
either.
he sucked until he got until we got Tom Thibodeau to like teach
Right.
him. Now he
I mean,
passes defense.
Thibodeau is a defensive genius. That's why
Yeah,
he's
so
a
he was
good
able to turn
coach.
Korver into a halfway decent defensive player. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like with buckets, like he had a really good game a couple of games ago. I think he like, scored like 30,
Yeah.
but I don't think he has confidence and his feet are cement on the defense. Like he just
Yeah, I can imagine
he
that.
can't handle the pick and roll well. People beat him off the dribble all the time.
Oh, I
So
bet. Yeah.
no, I have high hopes for them. Another big thing, just I'll end it right here. Like is that our number three spot, our small forward spot, we have nothing coming out of them. So we have like Tony Snell, um,
Mm.
which isn't that he's not that great.
Uh,
You have Tony Snell, you have Doug McDermott, and then Michael Dunleavy, which his back is like giving him problems.
he's old as fuck.
He's
Let's
old as
face
fuck
it.
too. Yeah, so like we're not getting anything out of our third spot,
Yeah.
which is also really
I mean, Butler
frustrating.
can play the 3, right? If you wanted to,
Butler can play the three, but I think he's better. He's
as a
between either
guard.
two and a three. Yeah, two and a
Yeah.
three. Because I think like he can guard better at the two. Like
Right.
he's quick enough to be able to shut down most of the
But
shooting
he's
guards.
so good though. He's so good on defense too.
Yeah. But the thing is like the thing about Butler is that if we rely on Butler too much, we tend to the problem is that it suffers on both. If he focuses on defense, his offensive tends to suffer.
Right. Right.
If
That
he
makes
if he
sense.
if he has to like slam down on offense, his defense tends to suffer. I mean,
So he's not
so
a complete two-way player yet.
he is, but like we demand so much from him because there's no one
Yeah.
else around him.
Because he's a superstar.
Yeah, I think I think he's a top 15 player in my opinion. Top 15 for sure. Um, and then I'm assuming Kyle is in chat.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is like you have Sam Hinckley as your GM and he's all about the analytics, sabermetric stuff. So I mean, tanking in the right way. Don't go full tank mode like the Sixers do, but tanking in terms of like trying to hopefully get a good pick this time around and see where it comes from.
There's a joke about the 76ers fielding a lineup that's going to be all big men. Like, everyone's going to be 6'10 and over. Like, point guard to center is going to be all 6'10 and up. Like, because Ben Simmons is the clear number 1 pick for next
Yeah,
year. If
they
the
say that.
Sixers get the number 1 pick again, it's going to be like, fucking... what's the starting lineup? It's going to be Ben Simmons, who's like 6'10. It's going to be Joel Embiid. and then it's gonna be fucking Jaleel Okafor, and it's gonna be Nerlens Noel. It's gonna be like a 5-man,
Hey man,
6'10" and over lineup.
it's like the opposite meta of what like the Warriors are doing. They have Draymond Green playing the 5
The
spot.
small, yeah.
You have like a 6'9" center or whatever. How tall Draymond Green
I don't
is?
even think he's 6'9". I think he's even smaller. It's
Is he
crazy.
like 6'7" maybe?
I think he might be 6'7", dude. He's 6'7", dude.
Jesus, that's
It's
your.
fucking crazy.
That's that. I
That
mean,
dude is a beast.
that's the new meta now for the NBA.
He's so good. What a beast, dude. He leads the Warriors in assists.
hmm
He's not even a point guard. It's fucking nuts, man. It's fucking nuts.
But yeah, I mean that's my little rant about the Bulls.
You seem pretty frustrated.
Yeah, because I think we had such high hopes with the Bulls, and like everyone started blaming Thibodeau. The reason why we're not
It
doing
wasn't
well.
Thibodeau for sure.
It wasn't really Thibodeau, or if it was Thibodeau, then get the right person. And obviously the Bulls didn't get the right person, Hoiberg. At least what we can see so far. I mean, I'm holding reserve because like it's only been half a season, but like,
I'm assuming Hoiberg is more of an offensive-minded
yeah,
coach.
yeah. Well, he came from Iowa State.
Right.
His philosophy is more offensive oriented. He's all about the up tempo, kind of like
Right.
what most NBA teams are doing nowadays.
Right.
Because that was the biggest thing about
The
the
hot
Bulls is
shit.
that yeah, is that the Bulls do really well in defense, but they have no offense. So if you're able to keep like the same mindset and principles that Thibodeau instilled in the defense and just added Hoiberg's offense,
Hmm.
the Bulls should be better. I
Right.
mean, in theory that makes sense,
That's the
right?
theory,
But
but
like obviously that's not working.
But the reason why the Bulls were so good is because they were able to play defense as a team. Their team defense was really good under Thibodeau, and that's why they went to the playoffs multiple times and they got really close. And then Ray Allen won the Heat a game. So, and then Derrick Rose decided to tear his ACL 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
So
it's just frustrating.
yeah, I think Thibodeau will have a job next year. I didn't.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's rumors that he may go with the Knicks.
I mean
Because
that's totally
Fisher got
cool.
fired.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He definitely is. I think he's just taking a year off just to re-energize himself.
Yeah,
And
he seems to. What I actually listened to his interview on the Bill Simmons podcast, and it was a really good episode of it.
oh,
And
I saw that. I didn't get a chance to listen to it
oh,
though.
you should listen to it. It's really good. It's really good. What he's been doing this season is going to like all these teams, visiting them, and seeing how they're run.
hmm
So I think he's learning a whole bunch of shit from different teams. And he's going to apply that to his next job, and I think he's going to do awesome. I have a feeling.
I definitely agree. I kind of feel like we can get him back now.
Ah, I
The
think
Bulls, 'cause,
you're.
like
Yeah, I
I
think the
think like
bridge is burned.
he enlightened. Yeah, that I know the front office and him do not get along
What
whatsoever.
was it? John Paxson is the GM, right?
No, he's the president and Gar Farman is our GM.
Oh, okay.
Which I mean, it's like
Whatever.
they're both the same people essentially nowadays.
I mean, they seem to make good decisions for the most part. They've done pretty well in the draft,
They've done
So
okay, but like it's like I don't know. They've done okay. So they got Jimmy Butler. I think the best pick was Jimmy Butler.
right.
But
I mean,
like they
Bobby
failed
Portis.
Bobby Portis. Well, that's this season, but they failed on Tony Snell. We got
I mean, Derrick Rose was drafted.
Marcus Teague. Not Marcus Teague. Over Jeff Teague.
Jeff
Jeff
Teague.
Teague. No, Jeff Teague is the player for the Hawks.
Right.
We got his little brother, and he sucked.
Right.
Tony Snell not doing so hot.
Right.
Bobby Portis. Well, he's looking good so far. Taj Gibson, not too bad.
Taj
but-
Gibson's been like on the team forever, right? So
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I think it's like I said, we're like in the middle, and we don't and
You never want to be in the middle.
no one because we don't know where to go. We don't know if we want to just stick with it, and hopefully everything will ride out and we'll get better.
You
I'm on the mindset where like that's okay to do if you have younger players, but if you're banking on a 36-year-old to kind of turn the corner and help you lead yourself to the championship and Paul Gasol, I don't agree to that philosophy.
yeah.
I'd rather trade him, get your assets, and try to build around Jimmy Butler and see where you can go the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling around Chicago is that the window's already closed. We should have done something. So
Right.
how about your Lakers? I know that.
Uh
Yeah, I know that your Lakers are doing. What was it like? Are you guys at double digits yet in wins?
yes, we're 11.
Oh, there you go. I remember last
now.
time I was looking like you guys were like only had like 8 wins or something like that. So-
Yeah, so let's see. Let's look at the record here. We are. Where's the record? The fuck. I'm not seeing the record, but it's 11-40 something, 11-40, something like that. So we knew 11-46. We knew going into this year that things were gonna go real bad because I never had faith in Byron Scott as a coach. I didn't think he was a good coach ever.
I don't mind. I don't think he's too bad.
He's too old school, right? He's one of those
Yeah.
guys like, oh, you gotta play through the pain. You gotta earn your minutes. You gotta be a veteran. You gotta be professional. He's one of those guys. You know, that's the era he played in, right?
Sure.
You play through the pain. You don't baby the millennials, stuff like that. That's why he's treating D'Angelo Russell like a piece of shit, and like literally saying, yeah, he's not very good, but he's our only choice. He's come out and said shit like that. That's just
Hmm.
how he is. He thinks he's like dealing with complete adults. He doesn't realize that D'Angelo Russell is fucking 19 years old. He can't even fucking legally drink, dude. Like, come on, it's it's ridiculous. It's the problem is that he's a flip flopper too. One day he'll be like, oh, D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle, they haven't earned their minutes yet. They're still young.
Oh,
This is their
right.
first season. They got to learn. They got to come off the bench and learn. But then a week later, he comes out and says, "Oh, Julius Randle is starting for the rest of the season." Like, what the fuck? Like he just doesn't make any sense. He's just a fucking he's just saying shit to say shit at this point. That's why
Right.
I don't want him.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't have a problem with him because I feel like he got into a shitty situation. Like, I mean, like, you only can work with so much of what you have, and
Right.
like, I mean, he's only been a coach for like this is his first season, right?
This is his second season as a Lakers
I
coach.
feel like he was kind of doomed from the start in terms of like expectations and kind of having to like deal with the whole Kobe situation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if it was anyone but Kobe Bryant, they would have released his ass a long time ago.
Yeah.
And relieve that cap space that Kobe. Because I remember reading a stat that like if if you were gonna trade Kobe Bryant to the 76ers, you would be able to give every single person of the Sixers, like trade everyone from the Sixers to the Lakers and trade Kobe Bryant to the Sixers, and the money would work out.
Yeah.
That's how much Kobe Bryant is making. That's how much cap is being eaten by Kobe Bryant's
I
contract.
think there's like I think he's like a $30 million cap hit.
Yeah,
Um,
some
I,
ridiculous amount.
yeah, it's ridiculous. That's
25
like
to 30, something like that.
it says 25 on Google, but I think he has more stuff that counts against the luxury tax and stuff. It's definitely over for sure. They said fuck it. You know, Kobe's our guy. You know, we're gonna eat the luxury tax that we're gonna have to pay next year, whatever. So they ate the whole thing.
And then
So
and then as a coach, like, I'm like, sure, you respect him. I know him and Brian, Scott, and Kobe
yeah,
are good
because
friends.
he was on the Lakers the last year, the first year that Kobe was there as a rookie. Byron Scott was there,
Yeah,
so it made sense.
so I understand that personal level, but the thing is, like, in terms of like trying to win games, you only can do so much of like a bunch of like rookies that are still kind of like super unpolished, and you don't really have a lot of other complementary players to kind of help you win games. So so what I'm trying to say is that like if you gave Brian Scott like at least another 2 years or like a year to kind of like try to bring in more people and maybe see how what he can do under his system and under the people that can actually work with his system, I'd be interested to see what he can do because I think he was a good
No,
coach. Like,
well the thing is he lived off the hype of oh he groomed Chris Paul, he groomed Kyrie Irving, right?
yeah,
And that's what he's supposed to do with D'Angelo Russell. He hasn't done that. He hasn't made D'Angelo Russell into a better player just because he hasn't played him.
hmm.
D'Angelo Russell's not getting the experience he needs. He needs to be in late game situations where you're down by 10 and you want him to just drain a couple threes to catch up. You know, make three threes in a row and
I
we're only
wonder
down by
like
one.
did he work with Chris Paul and Kyrie Irving during the rookie seasons as well, or were they already like established when they coached? I don't
I
remember.
think they were during their first couple years.
Okay.
Let me see. I think Chris Paul was 2006. He came out in 2006 or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Byron Scott was there, definitely there for that, for Chris Paul's rookie season, because he was coaching there for 5 years between 2004 and 2009. I'm pretty sure that's when Chris Paul came into the league.
Sure.
And then he was with Cleveland between 2010 and 2013. That's definitely between one of the Kyrie Irving rookie years. So he's living off of that hype. So I can't really say that he did the job. It might just be that Kyrie Irving and Chris Paul are really good, which I think is the more believable answer.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just don't think he's a good coach. I think he's too old school. I want guys like fucking Steve Kerr or Luke Walton or Frank Hoiberg. If I'll take Frank Hoiberg
Frank? Who's
because
Frank Hoiberg?
not was it
Fred Hoiberg?
Fred Hoiberg,
I was
whatever.
like, who's Frank Hoiberg? I know
Yeah, yeah.
we have a Fred Hoiberg in our team.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would
Okay.
take him because he's an offensive minded guy. Like at a
Uh-huh.
certain point, I want to see the young guys develop offense before defense. For some reason, that's just how I judge NBA talent. For some reason, it's probably not a good thing, but I'd prefer someone who has a modern take on offenses rather than oh we're gonna run the triangle, oh we're gonna run the Princeton. You know that
Hmm.
shit's old. That shit
Would you take a Kobe Bryant?
as a coach,
Yeah, why not?
why the fuck not? I don't see
Yeah,
why
okay.
not. Just let Luke Walton be like the actual head coach. Like hire Luke Walton out of Golden State, make
Hmm.
him your assistant head coach. So Kobe Bryant will be making the final decisions, but it would be like Luke Walton making the subs and then coming up with the plays because I'd totally be down for that. Or I'll take a Thibodeau. I'll take Brad Stevens if he ever becomes available. But I think the Celtics are getting better and better each year, so I doubt he'll be going anywhere else. But like Brad Stevens is like one of those guys that I would love to have, but it's a,
So I think
a
okay,
dream.
sounds interesting. Like there's more and more people coming from like the college to the NBA head coaching, and I just wonder like I'm not sure how I feel about like I mean because you have like Donovan, right? Donovan went to the
Yeah, yeah.
Thunders. I mean Hoiberg, left Iowa State, and like I don't know. I feel like that's like the trend now is to get like these hot named these
I ca-
guys from the
the thing
colleges
is,
and bring them over to the
I haven't
NBA.
seen a single Oklahoma City game this year, so I can't
Hmm.
say if it's actually him doing the job
Or
or
the
it's just
player.
that Westbrook and Durant are so good that you could put fucking I don't know Byron Scott there and they would still be like the
I think they
second,
would
third
good, Brian,
best
because I
team.
think I think I think those players respect Byron Scott. I feel like these younger guys don't respect Byron Scott, and like there's if you don't, so I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like these guys, they don't they these young guys just don't respect Brian Scott in the sense that like not to the point where like I think they're doing it on purpose to like fudge the games themselves and just like here you go Brian Scott, fuck you, I'm gonna lose the games just because I don't like you, I don't respect you, but in terms of like they just aren't buying into a system. More so, like if we take a Brian Scott and put him into Thunder, I think it would be a pretty good combination.
Maybe, but because they're veterans, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I think like the whole situation with the Lakers and like Brian Scott, I think it was I personally was surprised they got Brian Scott. Like I thought they would go a different direction,
Yeah.
but like when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, maybe it's the Kobe card. Maybe Kobe really wanted Brian Scott, or maybe I
Literally,
thought Kobe Bryant would work for Brian Scott. And
we're literally recycling Cleveland Cavaliers coaches at this point. We get fucking Mike Brown and we get Byron Scott.
that's
Next up is
true.
David
That's true.
Blatt next year. I'm telling you,
Yeah. Oh
it's
my
gonna happen.
God. You
I'm
get
gonna hate myself.
if
Oh.
you get David Blatt next year and Tom Thibodeau is is right there, we're ready to be picked up. It's like, oh my God,
But the
dude.
thing is, David Blatt was actually hired before LeBron got there, right? So
Yeah.
that's why LeBron never got along with him.
Yeah.
But David Blatt was actually hired to groom like Kyrie and the young guys.
Yep.
So
Like
maybe it might work.
Wiggins and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right, right. And then they're like, "Oh, LeBron's here. We don't need Wiggins. We don't need Anthony Bennett. Fuck them. Let's get rid of them."
Let's get some Kevin Lovins up in here.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Love's great. I love Kevin Love.
Are you serious? Or are you being?
Yeah, I like him. I'd take him.
I hate that guy.
I mean,
I think he's like one of the most overhyped basketball players in the game right now.
he might be overrated, but
He's overhyped, overrated, whatever you want to say. I think I would not want like. I think
I think if
he's not worth a max contract in my opinion.
yeah, maybe not, but I think he's a really good. He's a 3-point shooter, which is really useful these days, and he can get rebounds. That's all I need. His defense is complete balls, but I
Yeah.
understand.
But the people like the argument that people always say about Kevin Love, like, oh my God, he was like 22 and 10 on the Timberwolves. He was so great. He's like, yeah, but like, who else is there to play? Like, those numbers are inflated.
Right, because
You
he was the
know,
best player on the team
he
and
was
he
the
had the
best
ball.
player on the team, and like no one ever noticed how crap he was in defense on the defensive end.
Yeah, he
And then
was terrible.
you bring him into like the situation the Cleveland Cavaliers where he's kind of like not the main guy, and like he doesn't really fit the whole like kind of contribution role that he kind of is because he's the third best player on the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
He doesn't really he doesn't really feel comfortable with that and that kind of stuff. So it's like I don't know. Like I'm not really a big fan. And like even if even if he is a number one player on whatever team he would go to, like I don't think he's that. that great of a
He's
player.
not a he's not a number one player. No,
You can't lead a team with Kevin Love to a championship. With
no,
Kevin Love
probably
back.
not. No,
If you're built around Kevin Love, I don't think so.
yeah. So yeah, our team is young, so I just don't think Byron Scott is the right choice for it. I'd even take David Blatt, even though he's become the butt of the joke these days. But that's sort of what he wanted to do with the Cavaliers was groom like Irving and Wiggins and bring them up and have them be like the franchise guys and him be the franchise coach. You know, he wanted to be the best coach in Cleveland Cavalier history and win that championship that, you know, LeBron couldn't win. So, and then it all fell apart, and I could see Blatt being a pretty good fit for the Lakers, but it's probably not going to happen. I think they'll just ride it out with Scott for another year, I think, and then we'll just keep tanking. We're not going to be good next year either, so
Let's hope you get Ben Simmons.
yeah. If we get Ben Simmons, that'd be fucking awesome. It'd be Randall, Simmons,
Russell.
Russell, and then Clarkson. That's pretty good. That's a good young nucleus to have. We won't have a true center.
And it's pretty good for trade assets as well if you wanted to trade any of those
Yeah.
young guys to get like a veteran
Yeah,
superstar.
I think that's why they're trying to groom like Anthony Brown and Larry Nance Jr., which are like the sexy young guys from this year, the rookies. I think they could be pretty good contributors. It could be like a good guys off the bench. Nance is a energy guy. He's gonna die for all the balls. He's super athletic.
Yep.
He can soak up minutes. He's really good. I like him. Anthony Brown's like a 3-point shooter dude. So whatever. If he builds into a consistent 3-point shooter, then sure, why not? We'll take him as a guard or a forward.
We shall see.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a tank year. We're just hoping to get number one pick and just get Ben Simmons. If we don't get Ben Simmons, I'll take a Buddy Hield, whatever. You know,
I haven't looked into the draft outside of Ben Simmons, so I can't really speak on like what the draft looks like this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a very sexy draft outside of Ben Simmons. I honestly don't know, but the two players that I keep hearing about are like Ben Simmons, Buddy Hield, and
Is that the guy from Oklahoma? Because I know there's a guy from
yeah,
Oklahoma that
yeah.
people are
That
hyping
dude
about.
is probably the player of the year.
Really?
Yeah. That dude's a killer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the killer instinct.
He's from Oklahoma, so I can't.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get it. I get it.
I can't understand
Texas affiliation.
Yeah, yeah.
Brandon Ingram,
heard
Jalen
that
Brown,
I heard
those
that
guys.
Yeah.
But the prize of this year's draft is gonna be Ben Simmons.
Yep.
And if the Philadelphia
Yeah, they're hyping
76ers
this guy
get him,
up like
I'm gonna
best
cry.
college player in the last 15 years. I mean, the hype is crazy for this guy.
He's really good. He sees the floor like a point guard, so he can pass. So
Yeah.
in that way, he's sort of like LeBron. Like he's like a point forward
Yeah.
in a way.
Uh-huh.
But he's bigger than LeBron. He's like 6'10", 6'9", so he's taller. So he can,
Uh-huh.
he can play the 4 or probably the 5 too if you wanted to. But he seems to be kind of soft. He's a little skinny, and
Right.
his post moves aren't too hot.
How's his shooting?
Not great.
Okay,
He's
so
not
he's
a
not
shooter.
really a shooter.
He's a post up guy.
Which is interesting. Do you want that kind of guy in the NBA nowadays with the meta being more so focused on shooting?
I think you could always use one guy. No,
Interesting.
I don't think not every power forward needs to be like a Kevin Love, 3-point. Not everyone has to be Ryan Anderson,
Well, does Kevin Durant play? He's a 4, right? Or he's playing a 3?
I think he's a 3.
He's tall as fuck though.
He is. He's like 6'10".
Somewhere, I feel like he plays the 4 though. I guess he could go back to 3 and 4, but I feel like he plays the
He
4.
probably could. Like his arms are so long that he could probably just cover everyone.
Yeah.
So that's the Lakers just tanking season, tanking.
Yep.
Hoping
We'll
for
see.
Ben Simmons. That's about it.
Maybe we'll do an episode later on when the playoff picture gets more clear. Maybe put our predictions in for the playoffs
Yeah, for sure.
for NBA and see what team our hopes and maybe potential upsets and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
moving right along, we can maybe go on to the next topic, which is what is
The Super Bowl
Super Bowl. That happened like a month ago, right?
happened. No,
I feel like
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. I felt like a
Yeah.
long time ago. Oh,
Yeah,
maybe,
it's been
maybe
2
you're right.
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
it felt
2
like a
weeks.
month.
It's not too bad, man.
Yeah.
We're a little behind, but we've been trying to get this podcast going for a couple weeks. So
Yep.
now that we got it going, we can talk about the NFL season as it wrapped up. Super Bowl 50, brought to you by Santa Clara because they play in Santa Clara, not San Francisco.
Yep.
It was the Carolina Panthers 15-1 against the Denver Broncos 12-4. Yeah, so the Broncos D spanking Cam Newton.
That D though. Yeah.
24-10. My God, Cam Newton was literally unstoppable this year. You know, through the air, through the ground, whatever. He seemed like he could do whatever he wanted on the field.
Yep.
But no, Von Miller, not Demarcus Russell.
DeMarcus Ware.
Demarcus Ware had other plans for Cam.
Yeah, which is I was hoping for the Broncos to win because I mean one for Peyton. I mean I'm not as big of a Peyton fan, but the storyline with the whole Peyton, going out, assuming he's going to retire this year with a Super Bowl, I mean I didn't mind that storyline, so I was kind of hoping for Peyton Manning to win. It was conflicting though because like on the Panthers side, there were a lot of like ex-Bears that were on the Panthers, like Charles Tillman and Jared Allen and Greg Olsen that used to play for the Bears that I'm pretty big fans of.
Can you count Jared Allen as a
No, I
player for
can't. But he
the
was traded
Bears?
mid-season. The thing is, like, with Jared Allen, I feel like he was a really good team player. He was a very good guy in the locker room. I
He
didn't have
also
any
played for the
for him.
Vikings, who you hate.
Yeah, but you can't hit a guy. I mean, he did really well. He never complained.
Yeah.
When we brought in Vic Fangio and went from 4-3 to 3-4,
Yeah,
he,
that was
he he
stupid.
didn't complain about like trying a different position. He was down for it. No complaints.
Yeah.
Whatever's for the best for the team.
But that wasn't his natural position,
That
so he
was his
was
natural position.
ineffective.
Yeah, being an outside linebacker, and, like you can if you ever watched
He's
his
a hand
career,
down guy.
yeah, he was definitely uncomfortable playing that position. So I don't mind him. Like I mean, mostly Charles Tillman and Greg Olsen. Those two most specifically because Charles Tillman's like a legend out here.
Yeah.
Peanut Tillman, he was they probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they like freaking retire his number in Chicago because he meant that much to the community. And Greg Olsen, I just feel bad for him because we literally traded him away to the Panthers for peanuts because of Mike Martz and that.
Mike fucking Martz, living
Yeah.
off of the hype of Kurt Warner, Mark Bulger, and two of the better receivers in NFL history who did not get into the Hall of Fame.
Yep. So yeah, I was just so pissed when they traded away Greg Olsen for like I think like a fourth or fifth round pick. I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like Greg Olsen's a beast. You gave him away for peanuts.
Yep.
It was so frustrating. So I was hoping for them to win ring would have been nice, but I mean, I'm not sure if Tillman's going to be playing again or if he's going to stay with the Panthers or not. I'm not sure if he's going to retire or not, but I feel like the Panthers are going to be there the next 2 or 3 years again. They're a pretty good team. I don't foresee them not coming back to the Super Bowl, but yeah, I mean, I was hoping for the Broncos. I was rooting for the Broncos, and they were the underdog. I wasn't sure how much. I think they're down by. I think they're 7 point underdog. I'm not sure how many points they were, but I know they're the underdog. The
Right.
Broncos were, but pleasantly surprised how well the Broncos did with the Panthers in terms of like Cam Newton didn't get a touchdown at all.
He looked super uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean because like, I mean what they're saying is that like, they were boxing the middle and pretty much making sure he couldn't run and
Right.
relying on those amazing cornerbacks that the Broncos had to kind of shut down man to man, which they did a pretty good job for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, I
You
think
know,
Ted Ginn kind of took off in the second half. He had a couple big catches, but
yeah,
aside from that, they had nothing.
yeah. I mean they pretty much dared Cam Newton to throw,
Yeah. And
and
he had no time because Von Miller and Demarcus Ware were in his face
yeah.
in
Yeah.
in 2 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, and it was surprising because I think it's the first. I think it's one of if it wasn't the first, I think it was like the first Super Bowl where no quarterback threw for a touchdown. Because I'm
Oh,
pretty
you're
sure
right. Yeah.
neither quarterback threw for a touchdown. Peyton Manning had like a terrible game, like he was having for like the last three
He
or
had
four
another
weeks.
Peyton Manning game.
Yeah, another Peyton Manning game in terms of like not being able to do anything really effectively. And it's just up in the defense won them the game. Special teams did pretty well. I forget the guy's name, but he got a pretty good punt return. Norwood, I think. I think it was Norwood. Or no, I
Yeah,
don't know if you
yeah,
remember that.
yeah. It
But
was
like he
Norwood.
looked like he was gonna wave to be able to like call for a catch, but he didn't wave, and people thought he was going to. But
Yeah.
he just took off and got like really good field position.
Yes, he had a 61-yard punt return.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Holy crap.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was mostly just defense. The defense.
Oh, it was
Both teams had
easily.
good defense, but it's just
Yeah.
that the Broncos were able to get more de what you say, were able to contribute more in term gets points overturned
Yeah,
on
because
the
I mean,
defense.
Cam Newton had one interception. And let's see how many fumbles it had.
Two
Four,
fumbles, I think.
four fumbles.
Four fumbles. Wow, I know at least two.
Two by Cam Newton, two by Mike Tolbert. They lost three of them.
Oh yeah.
So
So funny watching Tolbert play, dude. Doesn't look like a running back.
no, he isn't.
So fat, dude. Dude.
He's a ball.
Yeah, dude. He's so humongous. I'm not, like, it surprises me that he's a freaking quarterback or a running back whenever
Oh,
I see him.
he's more of a fullback.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like I mean, like I know that was it the first or second play from the Panthers. They were able to get the fumble off of to touchdown.
Yep.
Yep, which is thanks to Von Miller. So yeah,
He's
surprised.
gonna get paid.
Yeah, well, he's probably gonna get franchised and then get paid.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be the highest paid defensive player, like easily, when he gets the
Really?
contract.
You
I
think he
think
get more,
so.
more so than Sue?
More so than Sue, more so than J.J. Watt. I think.
That's interesting.
I think. I
I
think.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just find that interesting that like you think that would he would make more money than like both Watt and Sue. 'Cause I think
I,
Sue has the number one contract, right? I think he makes more than Watt
I
or
think
something.
it is Sue, but the thing is with how the contracts are going these days, it's always that whoever's the best player at the time of the contract coming up is going to get the highest contract.
Like Flacco,
Like
kind of.
Flacco. When Flacco got his contract, he was the highest paid player or whatever, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe behind like Peyton Manning or something like
I
that.
think he got it was at least top three. I know at least top three, if
No,
not
he
number
was
one.
definitely in the top three. He was like number one
Yeah.
or two. I remember
Yeah.
that. I
Well,
remember
after he
that.
got the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, when I remember when he got that contract, I was like, that is way
That
too
was
much money
like
for him. But I understand why they have to do that
the
because
best
that
timing.
yeah,
That's like the
it's
perfect timing
timing.
right
It's
there.
timing
Yeah.
related because he won the Super Bowl, and then his contract was up, and he played okay. He's always played okay. It's just that he plays better in the playoffs, which is
Yep.
good. But he's not winning you games in the regular season.
No, no,
So you could argue that he's not helping you in the regular season. But you can't let go of a guy who's above average. Like quarterbacks just don't grow on trees these days. So that's sort of the reason
Oh yeah.
why Peyton Manning has played the past year or this year when he was terrible
Yep.
because they were like it's either him or Brock Osweiler. I'm not sure about Osweiler. He turned out okay. So even if Osweiler played in the Super Bowl, I think the Broncos would have won it.
Hmm.
They would have just ran the ball with C.J. Anderson just a whole bunch of times like they did in the Super Bowl, and then he'll maybe throw a pick or two, and they'll still win it with the
Yeah, I mean, like
defense.
'cause essentially, like what Peyton Manning did, what couldn't Brock. I mean, I was assuming that like you put the same exact plays and the same exact situation that Peyton Manning was in with Brock Osweiler. Like, it's not like there's no way that Brock Osweiler would have done worse or better,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean,
Peyton
especially
Manning's
because
arm's a noodle. Brock
yep,
Osweiler at least has an arm, but he's probably not as accurate as Peyton Manning. But you can argue Peyton Manning's not accurate anymore because of his noodle arm.
yeah.
So I think it would have been the outcome of the game would not have been different.
Yeah, I mean a little bit because I do think there'd be a little bit different sense of like game sense and knowing Peyton Manning, knowing when to audible,
Right?
and knowing when to
Yeah,
cut
maybe
like change plays, like maybe you go for a certain run play,
experience.
or maybe go from that take it from the left to the right, run to the left, run to the
But
right.
then I think Gary
Uh,
Kubiak would know going in and just say, "Hey, Brock, you're going to be handing the ball off 9 out of 10 times."
which is really funny though, because like you think the Panthers would know that and they would be able to stop that, but because I don't think
No,
C.J. Anderson's like I mean he's a pretty good running back, but he's not like an elite running back in
no,
terms
he's
of
not
being able
elite by any stretch of the
I don't think he's
imagination.
top 15 even. I think he's like right at the cusp of 15.
I mean, talent wise, I think he's definitely not in the top 10. So
Yeah. So yeah, overall the Super Bowl was pretty interesting. I mean I was pretty happy.
people said it was a shitty Super Bowl, but I thought it was a really good game
No, I thought it was a really good game.
because it was defensive, right? People want to see
Yeah.
like 45-37. They
I
want to see
don't.
that kind of stuff.
I mean, if I want to do that, I watch a college football game. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
if I want to watch a really good game with two defenses, like you have a really good defense in Carolina and a really good defense in the Broncos, and like a pretty good offense of the Panthers. I think they're top five. I'm not sure how good the Panthers offense,
Yeah.
but they're pretty good. Um, the storyline going into the Super Bowl that I was interested in is like how good really is the Broncos defense versus Cam Newton.
It was really good,
It
turns
was
out.
really good. Yeah.
Like I never doubted the Broncos defense. Never. Because
Yeah.
they only allowed more than like 20 points like twice all season or something like some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
And I never doubted that. It was just the offense that was scaring me because Peyton Manning was just throwing noodles across the field.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if Peyton Manning just throws like 4 picks, I could see it going downhill really, really quickly.
Uh,
But he didn't.
Yeah, the funny thing is like when I saw the balls that Peyton Manning did throw, they were like there was like no oomph to them.
Oh,
They
there was
they,
none.
they
It
looked
was
like
floating.
they were floating. It was like
No
oh my
spiral.
god, there's no spiral whatsoever. I'm just like oh my god, this is gonna be interesting, So Well, I mean, like, I mean, Von Miller winning the MVP. I mean, agreed.
It
Should
was
have won that.
easy. It was
Easy.
easy.
Yep. Definitely easy. And then, I mean, I guess we can talk about, Peyton Manning. Do you think he's gonna be playing next year? Do you
I
think he's
think.
gonna retire?
Well, I'm not sure what is going through his head because he's dealing with the HGH thing, and then now he's going through the sexual assault thing all over again.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he wants to be in the limelight at all for like the next year until
Hmm.
he figures all this HGH and sexual assault stuff out.
Yeah.
I think he should probably focus on that. Just stay out of the public. Don't go out at all. Just take care of that legally. So I guess I think he should retire.
Which is really interesting now that, I mean, because you bring up these situations where, like, he has the HGH, he has a lawsuit coming up with the,
I don't think he's
like,
being sued though. It's Tennessee getting sued and him being mentioned in it, so he might
okay.
have to take a stand as a
Okay,
witness.
sure.
So
So the whole like this whole legal stuff that he's going through that sense and the HGH stuff, would you see him making a comment, a press release, or would you see him making a conference? Because the reason why I asked that, because
no,
like if you make because someone like Peyton Manning, if he didn't have to deal with all this stuff, you would assume a conference, like hold a conference,
yeah.
formally announce my retirement, press is right there. But with all these things circulating, having a conference would probably be the worst idea ever because you have all these press guys like asking about these questions like, oh, HGH, did you do it? Did you not do it? That kind of stuff. So if he
Well,
did
maybe he
retire,
can he could do like the controlled interviews, sort of like when LeBron James did the decision,
oh
right?
God,
It was so controlled, right?
make Manning do the decision. Like, are
Yeah.
you
So
retiring or no?
yes, I'm retiring, and then end it right there. I'm taking
But
my talents to back home, where the
I'm
fuck
taking
I
my
live.
my talents to back home, drink a Budweiser, eat some
Yep.
Papa John's, and
Yep.
you know, eat some chicken parm.
That's probably what he should do. In my opinion, that's what he should do.
Yeah, it would be the best probably.
He has nothing left on the field. It was clear.
Nah, no.
Throughout this season, he has nothing.
And I know the Broncos would not want to re-sign him because I think he's on his last. Or I don't know what his contract is with the Broncos, but I would
He's gonna
if I were
ask
the
20
Broncos.
million. That's too much.
Yeah, if I was the Broncos, I would cut him. Then if he wants to come back, I wouldn't bring him back in.
Not for that money either. That's
Yeah,
just way too much
and then
money.
what other team would want to pick him up?
No one.
Yeah, so
No one's to deal with
why
that
would
right
you want to
now.
deal with that? Like say like the Browns pick him up because like I heard the thing is that any
Browns
team
or the
that would pick him up,
Rams too.
The Browns would maybe pick him up.
Yeah,
Maybe
they're
the
saying
Rams.
about Rams too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like why would you want to go through that? I mean, because the both of them, both those teams are not Super Bowl contending teams.
I mean,
You don't. Oh, go ahead.
with the way he played this year, I don't think he's any better than the options they have in the Browns or the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really sad when you say that, comparing Johnny Manziel to
Peyton
Peyton
Manning.
Manning, that
Yep.
you're pretty much getting the same results almost is pretty sad.
When Johnny Manziel played this year, he didn't play that bad.
Yeah,
He looked okay at times.
yeah. For a Browns quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not. He's going to be out of a job real soon.
Yeah.
He's getting cut. There's no doubt about
Oh
it.
yeah. I mean,
When the March thing comes up, early March.
the new head coach Robert Pritch said that already. So
Yeah, it's not.
what's
It's not.
it?
It's not happening.
Jackson, right? Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
like. I don't know if he came out and said that, but it was maybe in a interview or written that yes, he's not interested in Manziel. But he came out and said something along the lines of, "We'll evaluate everyone." You know how they do it. It's
Sure.
politics. But yeah, I think he should just retire. He doesn't have anything left. He has nothing else to prove. He should take care of his personal life because that sounds super serious. I think that should be the focus if you're going through stuff like that.
Yep.
And I don't think any team should be interested in him because he's not good.
True that. All right. Anything else about the Super Bowl you want to make comments on, or?
No, that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk
All
about.
right.
So we could probably get into a quick MLB preview, or
Yep.
we could save it for another show.
Um, how much you want? Because I have a decent amount of things to talk about the Cubs. I don't know if you want to save it to the next show. I mean, how long have we been running it?
We've been
Our,
running for an hour, like 20
okay,
probably.
our intro was kind of longer than I thought it would be. So,
Yeah.
we want to save it to the next.
Yeah,
Next show?
we'll definitely do a show before the season starts, so we could talk about spring training
Yep.
and more signings. Because there's a whole bunch of free agents that are not signed yet, so we could probably talk about that.
Dexter Fowler. Where's he?
Dexter Fowler, what's that pitcher?
Oh, did they sign who's the guy from the Mets that played for the A's and then the Boston's
Mets to the A's in Boston.
yeah. Cespedes. Yes.
Oh, Yoenis Cespedes.
Yeah,
Yes,
did he sign for the
he
Mets?
has not. He has not.
He's still a free agent. That's
Oh
interesting.
wait. Did he sign with the Orioles?
Orioles? Really? Oh, see, I don't
Let
know.
me double check. Oh no, he signed with the Mets. No, I
Okay.
know. Yeah, he
Yep.
signed
So
with
we
the
have those
Mets.
guys that we can talk about later on and see. So yeah, I think we just wrap it up here, and then until next time, then.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's the first episode, episode 0 of New Sports Kaidan. Thank you, Tron, for joining me.
Of course.
Talking about sports. We'll see you guys in the next episode, hopefully within the next couple weeks.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.